Yeah, good evening. Again, a warm welcome from my side. Thank you very much for being here, for staying here, and for joining the film talk. The Human Rights Film Festival Berlin takes place now for the fourth time since it started in 2018. It was initiated by Aktion gegen den Hunger, Action Against Hunger, and aims at putting a spotlight on courageous and determined people from all over the world, fighting for justice, equality, and human rights. Action Against Hunger chose a film mayor for the program because in Western countries, quite a one-dimensional image of the life in the occupied Palestinian territories tend to dominate our perceptions. The film adds more layers to that perspectives and shows the day-to-day struggles of life under occupation in the city of Ramallah. With the festival and this film, Action Against Hunger wants to highlight current human rights issues and the context that they are working in as a humanitarian NGO. They want to show the powerful tool of documentaries. It's a pleasure and an honor to have the mayor of Ramallah, Musa Hadid, here tonight in Berlin. And please welcome Musa Hadid to this festival. Hallo Musa. Hallo. Please have a seat. Yeah, we have three panelists, and I would like to welcome all of them. And of course, I start with you, Musa. Musa Hadid is the mayor of Ramallah since 2012. He is currently serving his second term. And we will talk later, maybe it will be a third term coming. He is an engineer by training, and he brings with him like more than 20 years in engineering before becoming the mayor of Ramallah. He has studied at Osit University in the beginning of the 90s, if I'm right. And
started?
You started, no?
No, I started
in the 80s. Okay, great, yeah. And the interesting thing in the talk we had before that I also studied at Osit University in the 90s, so that's now we have it. Okay. Yeah, I also would like to welcome the filmmaker, David Osit. Hello, David. Nice to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's good to have you on the screen at least. David is an Emmy Award-winning documentary film director, an editor and composer. He is an alumnus of the Berlinale Talent Campus and the Sundance Non-Fiction Directors Residency. Yeah, his filmography entails the documentaries Mayor, The Row and No Man's Land. Good to have you, David.
Thank you.
Yes, and thank you very much for this very interesting and important film. We will talk about it in a minute. Lukas, we have Lukas Honauer with us. Hi, Lukas, good evening. Lukas is a country director with Action Against Hunger in the occupied Palestinian territory since 2019. Before Lukas has worked as a humanitarian partnership coordinator in Gaza. And before his position in Gaza, he has been between 2014 and 2018. He worked as a deputy country director in Haiti and as a country director in Niger, both times with Action Against Hunger. Good to see you, Lukas, and nice talking to you. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you very much.
Yeah, last but not least, I can introduce myself. My name is Katja Hermann. I'm working at the Rosa Luxemburg Foundation or Rosa Luxemburg Stiftung here in Berlin. I'm heading the department West Asia. We have offices in Ramallah, actually, in Tel Aviv and in Beirut. And myself, I've been working and living in the Palestinian territories, and in particular in Ramallah, for quite a while, the last years. So it's good to see people again, it's good to see the streets, it's good to see the images, it's painful to see that there's no freedom, and lots to talk again and again. Yeah, let's start. I mean, what we are doing is now that I will do the question and answers with my panelists, and we have later time and space for you to raise your questions or make your comments. Lucas, I would like to start with you. You are the country director for the occupied Palestinian territories. Could you give us a very short glimpse about the political situation right now in Palestine and the city, in the city of Ramallah in particular? I know that this is evening filling, or could be evening filling, so if you can just give us a short impression, what is Palestine, what is Ramallah in these days?
Well, short is a challenge already, but I'm sure that the mayor, regarding the Ramallah context, will be better positioned than me. But regarding the overall context and what we face here in the OPT, I think purely politically and in terms of the political system being there, I mean, there was supposed to be elections this year in the occupied Palestinian territory, in Palestine in general as well. That was at the end postponed, delayed to a later stage. We still have internal division as well between the territory within the Palestine. Something worth noticing as well from the side of the occupation side as well, and the political environment over there is very fragile as well. They had 4 rounds of election in the past 2 years, which necessarily and ultimately has an impact as well on the Palestinian questions and talks that can be there. Another development globally that you've all followed as well is the change of administration in the US. We could see within the movie that you just seen that obviously the political context in the US and some decisions that are taken from there can have a direct impact on the life of Palestinian. And then, yes, Palestine remains a fragmented country and territory. I mean, being under occupation in the West Bank, being annexed and directly annexed in East Jerusalem, or being under a closure in Gaza as well, is something that people have to face in a day-to-day life. And I think there what the movie is well portraying as well is that people keeps living anyway in that difficult situation, and then people in Ramallah especially are still living there. Ramallah is the home of the institution, obviously, of the Palestinian Authority, but it's also the heart of the social life, economic life, cultural life as well, and it's a very active and lively city.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you very much. What is your NGO Action Against Hunger currently doing in the Palestinian territories?
I think something that is said in the movie, if I remember well, is, I mean, a lot of things is a question of dignity, and that was specifically mentioned within the movie, and that is something at the heart of what we are doing. The principle of humanity is at the core of the humanitarian principle and the way we work in OPT. As Action Against Hunger, we have 3 main streams of working. The first one is what we call saving life, is direct humanitarian support. Obviously, I guess you've all seen as well the last development in Gaza in last May, and that's something we've worked actively there to have a humanitarian response following the 11 days of escalation and war that happened there, and trying to support people with direct cash assistance, in-kind assistance to those people. We also worked actively in the COVID-19 response in the West Bank and the different communities and secluded communities in Area C, trying to support them in basic access to hygiene kits and hygiene services as well to fight against the virus. Then we also try to work in a longer term as well to promote capabilities, capacities that are existing there, try to support people into access to employment, access to job. This is something that is dear to us. And the last part is is the advocacy side and trying to make people aware of what is going on there. And same, I mean, a question that a mayor is asking during the movie is, do you think that people knows what is going there in America or anywhere else? And then that is something that is important to us as well. Make sure that people know what is going on there. And ultimately, hopefully, try to act on those violations that are happening in a day-to-day life in the OPT. So those are the three main ways we are working in OPT. And I'll just finish with that. I mean, working as humanitarian organization in the OPT is difficult. We are working under a tough context as well, directly controlled. I mean, as much as people are directly facing the settler violence, you can see the settlements all around Ramallah that are there in the movie, and which is the case in most of the part in RESC where we work. I mean, working there, we will face direct settler violations as well to our staff, to our contractors, people we work with in the field. So that's something we are facing directly. Permits to get into the countries, permits to move within the Palestinian territory, permits to access to Gaza, in and out, is something we are struggling with. So obviously the main barrier is on people living there, but to us as well is a difficult context to work in.
Yes, thank you very much for giving us this glimpse. I know it's evening filling, but we have more topics to speak about. Maybe briefly, Lucas, Ramallah is the main stage in the movie. How does the city play a role in your daily life? Maybe just a brief answer.
Well, very brief. As I said, we don't work directly in Ramallah as Action Against Hunger, other actors are, but it's the home of the institution. So for me, that's going to be the way to relate to the institution of the Palestinian authorities, working directly with the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Agriculture. So we directly link there. A lot of meetings obviously happening. In my personal work as country director, there's a lot of representation there and making sure that we align with the line and strategic lines of the authorities. And then more on the personal side, for me, Ramallah is a great way to try to go out and escape a bit and have a normal life as a family as well. So going to restaurants and going out, going to concerts, going to movies. COVID didn't help, but that was the same everywhere in the world. But in that sense, Ramallah is a real breath for me as a personal side to live there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you very much, Lucas, for these impressions. David, again, thank you very much for this film. It's very important to see these perspectives of life under occupation. And it's great to have this chance to talk about it and to talk with you about the film. What was your motivation for making a film about the mayor of Ramallah?
Well, thank you again for having me. Well, it started as a general interest in Ramallah. In that I had worked off and on in the Middle East for around a decade and studied in Cairo, visited Ramallah a couple of times. Then some years went on and I left my original career of international refugee law and got into filmmaking. And years passed and I was editing a documentary by a Palestinian filmmaker. And I was in Ramallah for a month or two for that. And this was around 2016. And I was really amazed to see just how much the city had changed. And it was not just a visit, it was spending a couple of months. So it kind of became a little short home for a while. And I was amazed by all of the hipster bars. I was amazed by the free unlimited public Wi-Fi throughout downtown. I was amazed by the Jaguar dealership. I was amazed by all these contrasts, the huge NGO population, the huge expat population, having refugee camps and settlements basically inside and surrounding the area of the city. It was such a city of contrasts, and I found it so fascinating, especially because here I was, an American who'd spent a lot of time in this part of the world, yet I was still surprised. And it really amazed me that I was still surprised. It spoke to how deep the ignorance is that I grew up with just by virtue of growing up in the Western Hemisphere about this region, about this part of the world. So I asked some questions. I asked my friends, tell me more about the mayor. I'm curious what his job is like. They said that he was a great guy. He said that they said he was Christian, and that was news to me, that the mayor of Ramallah by old Ottoman law had to be Christian. And I just became very interested again in what Mayor Musa's job would be like. And I think all of my films basically begin with a question that I don't know the answer to. And I want the film itself to be the answer. And this question that kept looming for me was, how do you run a city when you don't have a country? How do you run a city under the shadow of a military occupation of your land by a foreign power? What does that do to your sense of self, to your sense of country, to your sense of dignity? And I really wanted the film to be the answer to that question.
Yeah, how do you run a city if you don't have a country? That's a very interesting question. Mayor Musa, what inspired you to be a film or to get a film protagonist? What did motivate you to join David's idea?
Good evening. First of all, I want to thank everybody here who attended this evening, and thank you for watching the film and having this interest about Palestine in general and about Ramallah and the film. I'm quite sure that I didn't realize from the first moment when I met David that the final output will be this film. I thought that he was talking about a documentary, and we are used in our region, in the city, in projects like this to have a documentary of almost 10 to 15 minutes. So I thought that he's going to have some interviews with me here and there, have some shots from the city and from the projects that we are doing. But maybe after the first week, I discovered that David is going to be with me for months. And actually, he stayed with me for almost 20 months. 20 months with the mic on my jacket, with a camera following me all the time. It was something strange for me at the beginning, but then I get used to this fact, and the final output of this project was really great, that we have this film that is talking about Palestine with different perception for all those who don't know exactly what's the conflict between the Palestinians and the Israelis.
Thank you very much. Yes, I wanted to ask you how you came into such a direct and very strong connection, but after 20 months, I think the answer is obvious. And I think the film lives from this connection, that you are really getting very close to Mayor Musa, and that you allow David to be close, to be in your privacy, to be in your private home, to be with your family. And that's also very, very, very good for the film, I would say, and very, very real in a way. David, to what extent do you think does the film help in understanding more about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict?
I think it helps more on that front because it's not about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The film is about a man trying to run his city. The film's about a mayor. The film's about something that anyone on this entire planet could understand and relate to. You know, I will frequently hear the word complicated when I try to talk to friends, family over the last several decades of my life around my passion around Palestinian rights and Palestinian advocacy. People who I would assume to be liberal would often be dismissive and say, oh, it's too complicated. I haven't read the books. I can't understand what's going on. And I thought to myself, my job as a filmmaker is a little bit different than being a journalist or being a writer. My job in this case, I felt, was to tell the simplest story possible. And in telling a simple story, something almost more like a fable of just how to run a city, how to all the little things that Mayor Musa had to do and has to do in order to take care of the roads and take care of the sewage and put on a festival and put out, have this fountain going. To do all of these things, what makes this more complicated is the occupation. So if I'm telling a simple story, I felt that the occupation would really be asserting itself into the frame of that story in a way that made you feel, well, this is the foreign part. This is the part I can't relate to. And now I can at least understand what it's like to be a human being under occupation, because the film is showing me humanity first, not occupation first. And that was very important to me. All the films that I ever see about to use your phrase, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, all the films I ever see about this topic are showing Palestinians either as terrorists, which I don't agree with, or as victims, which removes any agency, which removes any complexity. There are actually really great films, even from Israeli filmmakers, about this issue, but they tend to be about Israeli guilt about the occupation, Israeli reckoning about the occupation. And even in these films, Palestinians are background characters who are feeling sort of the pain of the occupation, but Israelis are the ones who are having to reckon with it. And I wanted to make a film that gave you a very simple entry into understanding that everyone knows what a mayor does. In Berlin, you know what a mayor does. In New York, where I am right now, we know what a mayor does. In Ramallah, we know what a mayor does. So what is that job like? And how could you possibly relate to it? I felt like these kinds of personal, intimate stories would be a way to help you love something and understand something. And I think that's the only way to evolve your understanding of an issue is to love it first.
Mm-hmm. Mayor Musa, what for you is the most important momentum or statement of this film?
I think the whole film is a different document about Palestine. It's not about moments here and there. We are talking about something that we are not used to see in the media, especially in the Western media. We always saw that the conflict between Palestine and Israel from one perspective, from one side. The media was biased during the last decades, and the Palestinians did not get a fair and just description about the situation in Palestine. So what the film gives us is another dimension, that the Palestinians are there. It gives us the meaning of the word of resilience, that even though we are under occupation, even though we have a different lifestyle between day and night, because usually at night time we have the Israeli soldiers coming to our cities, not only to Ramallah, but to all the Palestinian cities and areas. But in the day we have a different lifestyle that we are building. We have to take care about our citizens. We have to find a way for better services for not only the citizens, but also for the visitors of the city, because Ramallah is becoming a hub for people like Lucas, for people, for the NGOs, for the diplomatic missions in Palestine. Even though in your introduction, you said that in Palestine, Ramallah now is the capital, or David also used the word, the de facto capital of Palestine, but still we want to reassure that we are talking about Jerusalem as our capital. Ramallah is now playing a role of the center of the Palestinian Authority till the time that we will get back our capital in our capital, Jerusalem. So in the meantime, we have many things to do. That's why the film showed in a way that the Palestinians are a nation that are capable of having their own independent state. It's not like what we saw through the last years in the media. No, we are a nation that are ready and that we want to minimize the gap between a nation under occupation and the other countries all over the world. We want, at the time when we have our own independent state, to be very close to what the whole world has achieved up to that moment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You were talking about it. Ramallah sometimes is described as a privileged bubble for internationals, for the PA. You named it already. How do you ensure, as a mayor of the city, to keep in contact with other Palestinian localities, parts of Palestine that are not that privileged when it comes to education, income, infrastructure, public life, etc., etc.? How you're keeping contact and how you keep joint awareness of the situation in Palestine?
I think we are talking about a small country. Palestine is a small country compared to Germany, to the USA, to Britain. And it's not difficult to have a model, a city like Ramallah, and to try to duplicate the successes that it's taking place in Ramallah to other cities. It comes out that I'm also in the position of the chairman of the Palestinian local authorities in Palestine since 5 years. And this gave me also the opportunity to try to lead other cities and other communities all over the country to be side by side in development, in achieving serious and strategic projects in their communities. And we always also encourage them to have a look on the experience of other countries and other cities. And that's why maybe it's very important for us in Palestine to work for the sistership idea between any Palestinian city and any other city around the world, because first of all, we need to have or to look on the experiences that they have. And from the other side, it's very important for us to have or to work on the solidarity of these cities with the Palestinian case and the Palestinian cause. So I'm working with my colleagues all over the country in different aspects, but of course we have all this common problem that we are all facing the occupation and the obstacles that the occupation is trying to impose or to put in front of any project that we are trying to achieve.
The last question from my side. Are you planning to screen the film in Ramallah? Maybe in your hall, downtown Ramallah?
It was agreed between me and David that this film will not be screened in Palestine till the moment that I will leave my office. So I don't think that in the coming few months the film will be screened in Palestine, but once I'm out of my office, then David is welcome to come to Ramallah again and to screen the film and to have this dialogue and to have also, the film in Ramallah will be a different story.
Yes.
It's not like showing the film in Berlin or in Amsterdam or in New York. The film in Ramallah will take us to something else. So I don't think that this is the right time. I want the film to be shown all over the world, and then at the final stage, it will be shown in Palestine.
Okay. Thank you very much from my side. Since time is running, I would like to open the floor for your questions. We have a microphone somewhere standing here in front. And I would just like you to go to the mic and ask your question, and maybe to be shorter than I was, short and specific. And please just address the person you would like to get your answer from. Yeah, you have to go here. You have to go here to the mic there. That's much better.
Good evening. So my name is Jan Ludwig, and do I have to say Hadid or Mr. Musa? Mr.
Doesn't
Hadid,
matter.
You can negotiate with him.
Very nice to have the opportunity to talk to you. So first thing which I want to say, or what I want to say, is I really like the fountain, but there was a small child in the movie asking you on which side you are, Fatah or Hamas, and I'm really interested. I mean, I've seen that you are like one of the least politicians I've ever seen. So you are really trying to solve problems. How do you avoid to be used by Hamas or Fatah?
How do I?
Yeah, that you don't have to take side, that you don't have to be on one side.
Okay.
In fact, no Palestinian is not taking a side. Every Palestinian is part of his life is the politics in the country. But when you are in a position like a mayor, you have to be balanced with all the citizens. You are not to serve a certain party. You are not there for anybody in the country. You are there for serving the citizens, not those who elected you, but all the citizens in the city. So that was what I'm trying to tell the kid in the film, that even though I'm coming from a party, I'm coming from Fatah, okay? But it is not important, it doesn't matter at that moment to tell him that I'm a Fatah or I'm Hamas or I'm from the PFLP. I'm Palestinian. I'm Palestinian to serve my people.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Who's next? Yeah, it's you. Wonderful. Yes. Just go ahead.
Yeah, my name is Philip, and I had, I don't know if I'm too loud now, is that fine? Yeah, here. I wanted to ask you, Mr. Hadid, at first, but this question, if time allows, would be also aimed at all of you three. Doing your work, you are confronted with, or you're dealing with so much responsibility and trust on you, and you have so much weight on your shoulders all the time. And yeah, what do you do to protect yourself from too much frustration, too much anger, too much sadness? Where do you build a barrier to also find some sleep at night? And what keeps your head up in the worst times? And yeah, it's a funny question, but we have also asked our professors, how much sleep do you get per night actually? Because
How much?
if you get sleep.
How much sleep?
Sleep. But that was
Yes.
already different.
What you do?
What tricks do you use to maybe leave also when it was a humanitarian work, what tricks do you use to leave it all a bit behind?
Yeah.
I think being a mayor is not a joke. That's to start with. Even though David tried to focus on some of the problems that I'm facing every day, every night in my job, but still, I think what is hidden is much, much bigger than what did you see. But also in the film, David tried to give a solution. I think when when we saw that I'm playing music, it wasn't a joke too. It wasn't by chance, because I think music is something that will get anyone relaxed after a busy day, after a long day, after too much trouble. So part of the relaxation that I'm trying to get in my job is to play music, and of course being with the family is the other thing. But from the other side, I'm very lucky that I have a very cooperative staff in the municipality, in the city, who are trying all the time to help me overcome any problem that I'm facing. So what we see in the film and the achievements that Ramallah reached during the last 10 years, it wasn't a one-man show achievement. It's a comprehensive work from the staff, from the workers in the municipality, and also the cooperation between the municipality and other institutions in the city, the local community. It's very important all the time to keep this connection with your community in order to achieve any success you want. This will give me also a sort of relaxation.
And also, the piano image was the one that was giving me this question, because that was...
Thank you very much. Yes, we have time for a short final question, maybe brief, before we stop.
Assalamu alaikum, Sayyid Hadid. I'll do my question in English. Something very important was mentioned by David regarding the fact that this movie is not about Israel and Palestine. It's about something that people all around the world can relate to. The way I saw this movie is it's a movie about leadership as a mayor, your leadership. How would you define your role as a leader inside all this complex situation of Israel and Palestine? We saw you as a family man, we saw you as a mayor. How do you define your role as a leader inside of that?
In fact, if I get your question in the right way, to be a leader is how you can deal with the crisis and find the right solution in the adequate time. This is the definition of a leader in my point of view. So when I'm trying to deal with all the crises that I'm facing during the days of being a mayor in Ramallah, I always try to find solutions because in the Palestinian context, it's very important to give all the reasons for the Palestinians to stay in their homeland. In order to do so, you have to make sure all the time that they can get the best services without complications, because we don't need more complications from the Palestinian side. We have enough from the Israeli side. So a leader in the Palestinian side has to work hard in order to make life easy for the Palestinians, in order to secure their existence on their homeland. That's what a good leader, not only in Palestine, but also in all other countries, a good leader is the one who tries to make everything possible for his people to stay, to work, to invest, to educate, to have good health. That's the leader. Otherwise, I think we will go for other terms of leadership that is a little bit related to corruption, and I think I'm quite far away from this term.
Just as a quick follow-up, I'm sure you understand, but from our Westerner point of view as well, you have a place of a mayor that is not like any other mayor. So a lot of other mayors are in your situation maybe, but other mayors don't act or don't do their work like you do yours. So sometimes this is challenged, right, by the external, what you just mentioned is challenged by the external situation of the conflict between Israel and Palestine. Or am I wrong saying that?
I didn't get that. I can't hear.
Yeah, the acoustic is quite difficult here.
Can you hear me better?
Could you just repeat your last sentence?
I was just saying your role as a mayor is different from any other mayor that we probably know here as Westerners.
Yeah.
So what you just said is probably challenged a lot of times by the conflict outside of your role as a mayor, by Israel and Palestine conflict. Do you feel like it's challenged a lot?
Of course it's a challenge. I think the Palestinian context is different. Again, we are talking about a city that is not compared to Berlin. It's not compared to London. We are a small city. And the mayor of a city the mayor of Berlin, the mayor of X city, that is a mega city, will not go for details like you saw in the film. But in our case, in the Palestinian case, I think it was very important for David and also for me, for David to show this context and for me to go into these details, not because we have this conflict between Palestine and Israel, not because we are under occupation, but also because I believe that I'm there to help people, to serve people, to ensure that I'm trying to get them the best of my knowledge, the best of my experience in every aspect. So I think this is the job of every mayor, but in the Palestinian context, maybe it's a little bit different. And of course, it's a challenge.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Can I make one comment about this?
David?
Can I make a comment about this
David
question?
is trying to make a comment
okay.
on
I was
that.
wondering who is talking to us. Again, yes.
Because
I think what's interesting to me about this question is, the film is very much around trying to express to you that in the context of Palestine, these civil services that Mayor Musa is trying to supply, they are taken for granted in Western contexts, but in Palestine, in the case of this film, they are symbols of resistance. Being able to live, being able to support yourself, being able to have a functioning city in very basic ways that would be basic for Berlin and London or other cities that we could be talking about. In the film and in Ramallah and in occupied Palestine, being able to do these things is actually a symbol of dignity, a symbol of resistance. And that's really what I wanted to show about Mayor Musa's work. And one thing I loved most about getting to know Mayor Musa during this time, and I feel honored to call him a friend now, was that I understood immediately that this man did not have any interest in doing anything with the office of being mayor except to borrow it and to, for the time, take care of his city until someone else's job came up. And I really appreciated that. And especially for an American who, when I first met Mayor Musa, was coming off of the 2016 election, basically, I never had less faith in elected officials until I met Mayor Musa. And it really showed me the difference between a politician and a civil servant. And I think that is the quintessential difference between what mayors can be and other elected officials can be, and what we hope that they don't become.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much for these words and compliments. Yeah. Well, I have to close this panel now because time is running and we are running out of time. I would like to thank you, David, Lucas, especially Mayor Musa, for being here, for coming here, knowing how difficult it is for most of Palestinians to travel due to so many travel restrictions. It's great to have you here. Again, warm welcome. Ahlan wa sahlan.
Thank you very much. Thank you,
good
Katja.
luck, all the best for your meetings with the other mayor, with the German mayors, when you have to explain what you are doing as a mayor. That
Thank you.
might be a great job. Yeah, I would like also to thank you for watching the film, for staying, for your interesting questions. And I would like to thank Action Against Hunger, Aktion gegen den Hunger, for choosing this film and for giving us a chance to speak about Palestine. To speak about Palestine under occupation, I think that it's important from time to time to remember that there still is something going wrong. And yeah, documentaries help to understand. I think this is working, and I would like to thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.